So one of the more tricky things with academia is, or just the research game in general, is just avoiding the negative self-talk that you have in your head and just getting to it. Just kind of pushing through everything. And that's like the problem, right? Like just that sort of terminology of pushing through to get to the other side. I mean, that is the absolute problem with academia, and I don't know how to get around it, because a lot of what we do is very, it's you're on your own. The whole thing is you're on your own, and there isn't things that are group work, and so it's actually a really tough career. That's the hardest part, is that everything in that you do is very much a solo endeavor where you're pushing through things that you don't necessarily want to do. I don't know. I don't think that I'm different. Maybe there's people that are different. Maybe there's people that really get love to actually write, that love to sit down and do things. But for the most part, I mean, it is a very tough, challenging thing because you have to push through things that you don't want to do. So I do have to admit that I like to analyze data. I like to, program, and that part of it is really fun for me, where I can sit down and get very much involved in it and get very, lost. But the writing part of it, every moment of it, other when I'm writing and I'm sitting down, I kind of get lost. But every moment of it is a slog where you have to, force yourself down and actually go through the moments of sitting there doing that. And I know that's not what people want to hear, but you have to sort of think about how do I frame this such that it's a positive experience every single time. And it's not going to be, but thinking about how do I get rid of this negative self-talk, I don't want to do this is really tough, all of those kind of things that go on in your head. Honestly, I think it's just practicing and practicing being optimistic, positive, focusing on hey, if you just get this done, then we could do something in your head. All of those things are very important. Now, I think we can change the career a lot. It's just hard. I'm thinking about it. So how would I make it a lot more enjoyable? I would make sure that it was done in groups where you were interacting with groups. But the problem is the way that groups work right now in academia is you work by yourself. And then every once in a while you touch base with a group. But what I'm saying is actually make it into group work where you're sitting down as a team at a table and you're just working through problems together. And that experience is a lot different. It's a lot more fun. The problem is I think it's slower, and I think that's why people don't do it, is because it is a slower step-by-step process. And you learn a lot more. I've learned a lot more by doing that in the few teams that actually sat down and worked together towards something. It was a lot more of an enjoyable process. The whole thing was just really fun. But I don't know too many people that actually do this. That's the problem. I really don't, where people sit down and actually work on something together. We need to really start training that a lot more. I'd like to do that a lot more. People are around listening to this. I don't know who's listening to this, because it's just a lot more fun of experience where you're working together towards something. And I think, that is a real big distinction between what we do and then what companies do, right, is that we're really independent in what we're doing. And that's just, human behavior wise, and thinking about like, millennial of evolution, we're not meant to be alone. We're social creatures. We're very much social creatures. So the more that we can work together as a team, it's just a far different perceptual experience that you have. So there's those two things, that working on this, like, hey, this is going to be a fun process, and working on that self-talk of this is I could do this. It's not only just I can do this. So that frame of work, or that frame of reference, that even if you say I can do this, that's still perceiving it as like this is unbelievable difficult. But instead is like, hey, this is actually not bad. This is actually really easy, and this is all possible. So, it's thinking of the imagery that I like to do or to think about is climbing a mountain, and you can sort of think about like, man, this is a really challenging process. Or you can stop and say, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to look at all these views as I go up, and I'm going to examine things and just really enjoy it. Enjoy the scenery as much as I can. You're still climbing a mountain. You just have a different perception on what's going on. And maybe the sort of slogging part of it, maybe that's faster. I don't know. Where you're just kind of rushing up the mountain. Or, the other part of it is when you're just kind of looking around and enjoying it. It could be slower, but at the same time, it's a far different experience when you're doing those two particular things. So just remember that it's all in your head. It's the state of mind and how you're perceiving things at this moment. And if you could sort of change that up a little bit, you can go a long ways. All right, take care and have a wonderful day. All right, bye.